Welcome to Confessions of a Parent Coach. I'm Coach, mother of four, and potty talker, Ann Kaplan. This is the podcast where I confess something from my own parenting and coaching life, teach a lesson around it, and answer your questions. Even we parenting experts are far from perfect, and the real magic happens when we get down with all that imperfection. We get into the gritty side of parenting here, so earbud up and dive in.
Welcome into another episode of the podcast, listeners. I'm excited to be here with you for another week. And I am really excited because I just finished giving the last session of the Words That Work workshop. And it was really exciting, really energizing. A lot of people logged in. A lot of people were asking great questions. The chat field was blowing up. I just love it when it's like so interactive that way. And it really helps take these kind of other things that I put out into the world, the podcast, my emails, all of these things that I put out into the world that are really one-sided, right? They're just me sharing my thoughts, my wisdom with you. Whenever I do an event like that and we get to have a dialogue, it just feels like it takes my relationship with you to a whole new level. So it just kind of flying high on the energy from that great workshop. And what I want to talk about today is a question that all of us wish dearly that we could have the answer to, which is, am I doing a good job? Like, am I doing a good job as a parent? How do you know? How do you know if you've done a good job as a parent? And I just said that in the past tense, but we're never done being parents. So it's really kind of silly to say it that way. Instead, I should be saying, how do you know if you're doing a good job as a parent? And before I, tell you what the answer to that question should be, I want you to really answer. Like if you and I were sitting here, if you were on the Words at Work workshop and I had asked you that question and you and I were talking, what would you say? How do you know that you're doing a good job as a parent? And the reason why I want to take a second is because most of the ways that we answer that question are actually pretty easy to poke holes in. And I'm going to tell you more what I mean by that in a minute. But first, I have to give you my confession. So this week, my confession for you is about this idea. How do I know I'm doing a good job? I have been making a mistake recently. I would say actually maybe for the last like year or two as a parent. And I'm going to tell you more as the episode goes on about why I think it's a mistake. But I've been making the mistake as a parent of letting my kids feedback to me be the way that I know that I'm doing a good job as a parent. And that's been really easy for me to do because my kids are a little bit older. My oldest kiddo is in college. So I've got three teenagers and they tell me, I mean, it's kind of like the dream come true, probably for most parents, is that, someday my kids will realize like that they were really lucky to have me as a mom. Or, someday my kids will really appreciate everything I've done for them and what a great parent I was. Well, that dream is coming true for me right now with my oldest kids, and much sooner than I thought anybody would have any right to expect. Like a 17-year-old or a 15-year-old, these are not the ages of people that you would expect to be super appreciative or aware. But I got to tell you, all three of my teenagers for the last like year or two, maybe even longer, have been, just kind of randomly out of the blue, just talking about how grateful they are to have me as their mom, how lucky they are to have me as their mom, and, how differently they experience me compared to when they go to their friend's house and they see how, their friends' families work and stuff like that. And I'm a human being, man. It is really hard not to let that stuff go straight to my head and for me to take it seriously, meaning that's how I know I'm a good mom. My kids told me. That is the worst way to know if you're a good mom or not. I'm going to tell you that right now. So, whether you're a mom or a dad, that is the worst way for you to know that you're a good parent. How do we know when we're a good parent? Our kids tell us. Well, There's so many reasons why that's the worst way for us to know that we're good parents. First of all, it really is not realistic for us to expect our kids by any given age to sit down and tell us you're a good parent or give us that feedback, that gold star that we would all desperately love to have. It's not realistic to expect that we're going to get it from our kids ever, and certainly not anytime soon. This moment in time with my kids is an anomaly. So, that's one reason why, we don't want to be waiting for our kids to tell us that we did a good job for us to know that we did a good job. But the other reason why is because for the majority of the time, our kids probably don't think that. When we're holding boundaries with our kids, like think about the things that we have to do as parents to be quote unquote good parents. You hear me talk about it all the time. Authoritative parenting means that we are both emotionally attuning to our kids and holding boundaries with them. Nobody likes it when you hold boundaries with them. So, do you think that when I'm like holding a boundary with my teenager that he has to pay for his car insurance, that he's in that moment going to tell me, like, you're a really great mom. I really appreciate you. You're working so hard for me. No, he's not. But I am a good mom in that moment. I am doing right by my kid in that moment. I am parenting in the quote unquote gold standard way. I'm not going to get that feedback from my kid during that time. The other reason is because so let's boil it down. First reason, we're not going to get that feedback anytime soon. Second reason, there's a lot of times when we're doing the exact right thing as parents and our kids will not agree with us that it's the right thing. So, we're not going to get that feedback in those moments, but those moments are really important and those moments are actually great parenting moments. The third reason is it's not our kids' job to take care of us in any way, including to assuage our, sort of curiosity or wondering if we're doing a good job or even concern that we're doing a bad job. That's not their responsibility. It's not their job. And if we're waiting to get those kind of ego strokes or reassurance from our kids, we are putting an expectation on our kids that not only is unrealistic, but it's really unfair. Because think about this, like as parents, we're holding boundaries, we're creating this container inside of which these kids get to do what they need to do and mess up what they need to mess up and decide what they need to decide and take as long as they need to take and be a hot mess for however long that is in order to learn what they need to learn and become who they need to become. You don't know if your kid needs 10 years of, whatever, dropping their backpack on the floor and having a consequence for that before they finally have spent 10 years inside that container and learn what they need to learn about that or whatever. And if the whole time we are waiting for feedback from our kids, we often will go astray in our parenting. And I'm going to boil this down to you in a way more sort of realistic and super common scenario that I see in my clients all the time. Because the truth is, most of us aren't waiting for our kids to sit down and say, you're a good parent. But we are waiting for signs from our kids that we're doing the right thing. And most of the things that the signs that we're waiting for are things like their behavior improves, they're happier, they're more pleasant, they're more respectful. And if we don't see those things in the amount of time we think we should, well, if the only way that we know we're doing the right thing and we're parenting well is for us to see those signs, according to our whatever arbitrary timeline, I mean, let's be honest, we're just deciding how long it should take our kids to come around. Well, if that's the only way we know, then we will give up. We'll become super inconsistent in our parenting. We'll try a million different things. We'll pivot. We'll start using parenting skills that aren't great and the parenting styles that harm our kids. We're constantly waiting for that reassurance to say, okay, I did this and this and this, and now my kid has all their homework assignments done. I did this and this and this, and now my kid never used curse words anymore. Well, you know what? It might take them a long time to learn that lesson. They might need to explore this misbehavior longer or whatever. And if you are going to decide if that, unless you get the behavior you're looking for from your kids, you are not going to stay the course, your kid's never going to get there. This is why I ask my clients regularly, probably every couple months, they hear me ask this question of them. What are all the reasons why this kind of parenting is right for you, even if your kid never changes? The way that we know that we are good parents cannot be our kids, which is so weird to say. But instead, we need to look inside. We need to decide for ourselves what kind of parenting aligns with my values. What kind of parenting makes sense to me? What kind of parenting leads me to feel right with myself, respecting myself, enjoying my life as a parent? These questions have nothing to do with my child. They really don't. So for me, I can tell you how I know I'm a good parent when I'm not letting my kids' compliments, cloud my judgment. The way I know I'm a good parent is because I feel in my heart, in my core, that this type of parenting, the type of parenting where I attune to my kids and I hold boundaries and I put our relationship first, I feel it in my core that that is the right way for me to be in this world as a mother. And that never changes. So I can ask myself, did I do that today? And if the answer to that question is yes, then I'm doing a great job. I'm a good mom today. And if the answer to that is no, then I need to work on some stuff and figure that out. And that doesn't actually have anything to do with whether my kids are behaving or misbehaving. I didn't say, it could be a day where I really didn't live my values. I really didn't parent authoritatively, but, my kids were totally well behaved and they didn't do anything wrong. Well, that doesn't mean I'm a great parent. It just means like that's lucky, I guess, but I still have my work to do. And conversely, and this is what happens to me even more commonly, is I could be parenting authoritatively, holding my boundaries, loving my kids, being super neutral, not bringing an agenda, all of the things. And they are sneaking screen time and missing assignments at school and fighting with their siblings. Doesn't mean I'm a bad mom. I'm doing a great job because I'm parenting in alignment with my values and in accordance with the parenting style that I committed to. So ask yourself today, how do you know that you're doing a good job? And so that I've actually given you 3 reasons why we shouldn't use our kids to determine that. The fourth is our kids are a moving target. How could it be that today I'm good and tomorrow I'm bad just because today my kid listened and tomorrow my kid doesn't listen? Like you're tying yourself to this like roller coaster of like self-judgment. So there you go. There's a fourth reason to let this go. Ask yourself, are you tying yourself to that roller coaster or do you have something higher and bigger that is steering your ship in your parenting? And if the answer to that is, yeah, I kind of am judging myself based on my kids' behavior and I don't have this like bigger North Star that's guiding me, it's time for us to talk. Set up that free discovery call you hear me talk about every week on the podcast. It is a big deal. One of the coolest things about Words That Work, I mean, the content, I just love it because it's all about relationships. But well, then the coolest things on that workshop is I mentioned, sign up for this discovery call. Here it is. It's a way to take this workshop further, et cetera, et cetera. But always on these workshops, I have a couple of clients who are just attending the workshop for a refresher or whatever, and they will always just unmute themselves and say, like, do the discovery call. It's life changing. Oh my gosh. And I wish there were a way for me to like share all of that with you without me being the middle person, because I feel like sometimes that makes it like less compelling or something. But if you sign up for Words That Work, you know what I'm talking about. You heard those people say that. You got the replay, so you can even listen to them say it again. The discovery call is totally transformative. Even if it's the only time we work together is on that free call, it's still transformative. That's a chance for you to just tell me all of the things that you wish your family were like, all the things that are getting in the way. I'm there to help you see the big picture and understand what needs to shift. And we'll talk about exactly how to make that happen and what it looks like to work together. And it is completely pivotal for some people. So the link to set that call up is in the show notes. I want you to think about how you know that you're doing a good job, because I promise you, you are, and you're on your way to doing even a better job. And I'll talk to you again next week. Bye, everybody.
The episode is over, but there's more waiting for you. You can grab my free workbook, Getting Kids to Listen the First Time, that walks you through the fundamental principles I teach all of my clients and applies them to this very universal parenting challenge. So if you're sick of repeating yourself all day long or just want to learn more about my style, you'll definitely want to go to bit.ly/kidswholisten. And if you're ready to work with me, let's meet. Set up a free call at bit.ly/KaplanCall, and let's create an action plan that gets you exactly where you want to go. And of course, links to all this goodness are in the show notes. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you next time.